Tony, I have a question for you. Yesterday you announced to the world that you are indeed autistic. Tell us about that.
It's quite a revelation in many ways. It's something that has been developing over a long period of time. And when I began, actually over 50 years ago, autism was a very narrow band of highly conspicuous individuals. Now, over time, there's been a recognition that there's, shall we say, an expansion of the autistic characteristics. And it's increasingly identified a group of people that may not be obviously autistic. Now, what I then find is I'm on that continuum, and that I find fascinating. Now, this is a bit ridiculous because people have been saying, Tony, don't you know that you're autistic? Now, 3 people who I value very highly have said that. There has been Wen Lawson, Stephen Shaw, and Michelle Garnett. And other people have said on correspondence and so on, emails, or shall we say for some of our presentation, doesn't Tony recognize that he's autistic too? And it's about time I listened to people. They're basically right. And I think there are a number of reasons. They are certainly genetics, that there's autism in the family. So we would expect that within and between generations. But also I unfortunately experienced trauma as a young child. But what I see myself is I've got the autistic profile, but not the disability in many ways.
It's possible.
And what I've used is the autism characteristics of determination, compassion, and really finding right from the beginning when I began that autism wasn't a surprise to me. And when I met 2 classically autistic children, as the term was used years ago, I get you. I understand. And I realized it's intuitive. It's within my neural network to understand autism without having to think. I intuitively understand autism. I do.
You know.
And you see me do that.
I have.
So from my point of view, I think it's about time that I recognize those characteristics. So it's really just for my personal information. I'm not seeking government funding or psychiatric help, but it does mean that I see it as an explanation of who I am. And I can now look at my past through the lens of autism and recognize the bits that fit. And then I've used that to support autistic individuals. But why? And then I realize, because I get it. It's within my
DNA.
Network. Yes, it's in my DNA.
Your DNA.
Now, that's
Thank you.
me, Michelle.
Well, before we move on to me, can I just comment on that, Tony? I think that it's so you to be looking out at other people. And noticing, I know you very well, and that beautiful, big, compassionate heart that you have, that I also attribute to autism and your autistic.
I agree entirely.
Yeah, yes. Amazing compassion. And being able to look out and see others, but not necessarily turning that very fine eye and keen lens onto yourself.
No, it's not a mirror.
No,
I didn't see
it's not a mirror.
No.
But once you started to listen to Wen, Stephen and I, you thought, wow, I think there's something here. I'm so glad
I trust your judgment,
Thank you.
because you know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the world has definitely benefited from your intuitive knowledge of autism, but I am just delighted that you can now own this membership to the club, and you are also
my heroes, actually, because autistic
hero.
have always been my heroes, and I've always been a champion for them. Totally. And now I know why.
Yes. And it's in you.
Yeah. So I
isn't
think
that wonderful? So I really wanted to thank you for coming out and exploring this at a personal level, but then also telling us that this is your discovery.
Well, yeah. This is the why. This is why.
This is the why.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Well, after over 50 years of autism being your passionate interest, it makes sense to recognise there's a reason for that.
It's interesting that you could say that autism is my special interest.
I think so. It's certainly mine. Yeah.
And
so,
talking of mine, now, in September 2023, you announced that you are autistic. Tell the story of that.
Thank you, Tony. So what happened in my own life, similar to Tony, was that I came into autism when the definitions were quite narrow. We didn't even have Asperger's syndrome in the text, the diagnostic text back then. But I was very, very curious in a powerful way, and I couldn't really make sense of why. I thought it might be an intellectual curiosity, but I was certainly drawn to autism. So I started to study it, and before long I realized that it actually explained to me a lot of the closest people in my life, family members I hold very dear, and also friends. And along the journey, that expansion of the knowledge of autism that we've had around the world, the definition of autism, slowly but surely started to come home even closer to my own profile. And it wasn't really until I was thinking about this the other day, it was probably 2016 when I started to read chapters that came in for a book that I co-wrote and co-edited, amazing book that was put out as being about 15 autistic women. This is Spectrum Women Walking to the Beat of Autism. And of course, it's actually 16 autistic women, because I saw myself.
You were the professional to comment on it, but actually you're one of the...
I actually was. And I kind of realized that as I read other autobiographical accounts, I could suddenly see myself in the diagnostic criteria. And like you, Tony, I was very much outward. I was looking at others and seeing it, but not examining my own life with the lens of autism.
Yes, how can I help others rather than helping myself?
How can I help myself? And for myself also, I have wanted to be very outward about this. My own suffering in terms of being autistic in the world, because I don't think it's easy to be autistic in the world, was really about anxiety, very strong social anxiety, and clinical levels of depression. And so I understood my own struggles within the lens of more what we call psychiatric diagnoses rather than neurodivergence. And I see now this is a very, very common pattern for many late diagnosed adults, that we've had the mental health issues but not recognized. Actually, these are secondary to it's being different. That's the difficulty. Nothing wrong with being different, but it's difficult to be in a more marginalized, misunderstood group, whatever that group may be. So that was my journey into
fascinating.
Thank
so
you.
We share something
we
in
do.
that. Yes.
Very much. Happily, we share it.
And that's what we do in a diagnostic, formally a diagnostic assessment. We say, congratulations, today was the day we discovered your autism. So we are adventurers discovering
autism even in ourselves, bringing it home. So thank you for listening.